All right. Hello, everyone, and thank you for joining us for today's webinar, Customer Love, the Heart of Hawks. My name is Danny Shapiro, and I'm on the marketing team here at Hawks Learning. Our speaker today is Hawks' very own Sarah Allen. Sarah is a custom product specialist on the Customer Love team. She began her career at Hawks as a content editor, but now works directly with our representatives and faculty to help customize software content for individual courses. Sarah has a background in engineering and in math education and loves putting both of those to work at Hawks. We will have a live Q&A with Sarah at the end of her presentation. To help with questions throughout, we have Brian Dunham of Hawks, a member of our training and support team, who's joining us in the background of the webinar. So he can help answer questions as we go. So please go ahead and enter those into the Q&A. Also, this webinar is being recorded, and the recording will be sent to all attendees when the video is processed and ready for distribution. And I'll go ahead and turn it over to you, Sarah.
Wonderful. Thank you, Danny. Thank you to everybody for coming today. My name is Sarah Allen, and I am a custom product specialist here at Hawks. I am a member of the Customer Love team, as Danny said, and I wanted to walk you through today what Hawks can do for you and kind of what this Customer Love team is. Many of you are so busy with instruction and emails and everything else that sometimes you just want a little bit extra customization in your Hawks product. So I'm going to walk you through today what we as a team can do for you. Specifically, I want to talk about what and who is Customer Love. So a little bit about me and the team. I want to talk about how we receive your input. So if you have a question or if you have a need, where does that go and how does it get to us? I also want to give you some details about how Hawks custom creates questions for you. So specific custom content that you are wanting, how we create it and what our process is. And then I want to tell you what we do with those requests. So it's not just a one-off, it's not a check and then you're done. We use your feedback in all sorts of ways, and I'm going to give you a few examples of how we've done that just this year. And then lastly, I want to leave you with an idea of what the Customer Love team can do for you. So what are some options that you have as an instructor to customize your content from Hawks? So let's get started. First, who and what is Customer Love? It's an interesting team name. The story of the team name will be posted on the blog. So if you haven't looked at that yet, please go ahead and do so after this presentation. But really, the Customer Love team is Hawks' commitment in action. It is our way of saying, you matter, you are important to us. And when you have needs that aren't just fixed by out-of-the-box products, we're here to help. We want to customize what you need for your instructional content. There are 3 people on the team, myself, Sarah Allen, my partner, Thomas Durst, and our manager, Laura Brown. I can't speak to Thomas and Laura's varied background, but I can give you an idea of who I am and what I have done. As Danny mentioned, I have a degree in engineering. My bachelor's degree is in engineering. I also have a master's in math education, and I use that degree to teach developmental algebra for 3 years. I've also worked in the software world prior to teaching. And at Hawks, I get to do what I love. I get to use all the tools in my arsenal to help you customize this content for your needs. I love being a member of the Customer Love team and especially getting to work with our instructors. Many of you I met at Amatic last year, and that was a wonderful experience for me. And it really helped launch my career, if you will, or my position into this Customer Love team. I want to talk a little bit now about the nitty-gritty, about the details. How do we receive your input? If you as an instructor have a need, where does it go? How do you get your comments to us? The first and primary way that the Customer Love team receives your input is through feature requests. These feature requests come from your educational courseware specialist or your representative. These are things like, hi, I really would like to see more questions about, enter your need here. Can you please add them to the online platform? That comes to our team. Any other additional requests? I need some help with my Learn Screen notes. That comes to our team, et cetera, et cetera. So feature requests, if you're not familiar, they're pretty common in the software world. They are a tool to do exactly what they're named. They are a request for a feature. And they could also be created not only by your representative, but also internally from our Hawks teams. If a content development member is doing some research and says, hey, I think we need to have this customization available for our customers, that also comes through as a feature request. Sometimes in the software world, feature requests are that kind of giant backlog of things that nobody really looks at. But Hawks is different. We are a small company and we value your input and your feedback. So we review every 2 weeks, we go through any new feature requests and look through and say, what can we help provide to these customers? How can we help to make your lives easier? The second way that the customer love team receives your input is through any tech support requests. So if you've chatted with a tech support technician or if you've called the Hawks line, any of that comes through our support inbox and gets reviewed by customer love as well. This is again just in an effort to make sure you have what you need. And then lastly, depending on the nature of the requests, sometimes we get emails directly from your representative. So if it's something really specific that can't quite be captured in a feature request, we of course will have communication with your representative. And all of this gets funneled through to our customer love team. And again, like I said, this is really in an effort to give you what you're looking for. I want to talk to you about what happens once that feature request is received and we've kind of reviewed it a little bit. Our process for providing custom questions is pretty straightforward. It has 4 stages that you see here on the screen. First, prioritizing the request. Then we create the question, in this case, specifically custom questions. We test those questions rigorously, and then we share them with you, the instructor, and potentially, depending on the request, we also share it globally to all of our users of that same product. So a little bit about the details. When we prioritize a request, it's not just saying, great, let's do it. There's a lot that goes into it. We are going to review the request. We will gather any additional information from your educational courseware representative, or if we need some more information from you, they'll be reaching out as well. We then prioritize the request. So based on everything that's going on at Hawks between our content development and even our customer love team, we prioritize that request. And then we author some acceptance criteria. And what that means, acceptance criteria is again pretty straightforward in terms of its title. It is criteria by which we accept the question created. So the criteria by which we say, yep, this is exactly what they're looking for. And this is a critical piece because it means we're creating what you want. Once that stage is complete, we then move on to the creation stage. The questions are created in Hawks Question Builder tool. Many of you are familiar with that tool. I know we've had many webinars on this tool. But when we create it for you, we're creating 30 to 50 iterations of the question, providing that variety that you're familiar with Hawks, so your students can practice the same math, but in a different context. We also provide specific explain errors to help your students learn, and then also step-by-step or hints depending on the type of question. And this is all types of math questions, multiple choice, true, false, free response, etc. Once we've created the question, we of course are constantly checking it against the acceptance criteria. Then we move on to the testing stage, and we have some pretty rigorous standards for testing. We test the question through the instructor portal. So what you all see, we make sure that it's one available to you, of course, but it looks right. It looks like what you expected it to look like. It functions properly, etc., as any good software development would do. Then we also test it through the student portal. What are your students seeing when they use this question in practice mode or on a web test? We also test these questions to high accessibility standards to make sure they're available and accessible to all students. And then for those of you who still like to print your tests, paper tests, which I of course loved when I was a teacher, we test to make sure that it prints correctly, that it exports correctly, that what you see on the paper is what you see on the screen and it's not jumbled. So once all of that testing criteria has been met and it's completed the acceptance criteria we authored earlier, we then get to the fun part, which is where we share the question back to you. We will share the question back to you specifically and to any other instructors who also use that same product at your school. But then sometimes we also add these questions to our global products. And I'm going to give you in a few examples of how we've done that just this year, how we've used your feedback and your input. For those of you who haven't yet had any custom questions created for you, they end up in your question builder folder. So it's under your assignments tab and it's in the question builder folder there. That's where they end up. They're available for you there for your curriculum usage, but also available for web tests, of course. I want to give you now just a few examples of how we have used your feedback to improve our products at large. This is kind of the epitome of a rising tide lifts all boats, if you will. The first example I want to talk about is our Viewing Life Mathematically text. We had some input just this year from George Mason University, and they have a unique course with their VLM, Viewing Life Mathematically product, where they needed some additional statistics questions. We were able to add in some additional questions from our beginning statistics product into the chapter 8 lesson 4, the normal distribution lesson of Viewing Life Mathematically for all of our users based on their input. And we found that these questions really did help and provided some more rigor in that lesson. We also got some feedback from the University of New Haven this year. They are using our Pathways to College Mathematics. And because of their feedback, we added 2 additional appendix lessons to that product. They are the logarithmic functions and applications of exponential and logarithmic functions lessons. So these, this additional content is also available for that product. We had some feedback from Ole Miss also this year regarding our mathematics with applications in business and social sciences, commonly called MABS for obvious reasons. But Ole Miss was using this product and just noticed that some of the lessons didn't have quite as many questions as they were hoping for. So due to their feedback and their input, we added nearly 60 questions to that product, really rounding it out and making it quite wonderful. And then lastly, we just finished this up about a week ago. Our team did Fletcher Technical Community College wanted some additional normal distribution questions regarding questions in the tails for normal distribution. So they had a feature request sent in and we created 6 additional questions for just that lesson and are planning to roll those out to all users with our next software deployment, which will hopefully be in just a few months. So this is just a few examples just from 2020 of how our customer love team and with you all and your feedback, we've been able to use your ideas and your requests to really help out all of our customers who use that same product. So we're very, very grateful for all of the input you give us. Lastly, I want to leave you with a clear idea of what the customer love team can do for you. There are 2 really big buckets, if you will, or 2 areas where customer love can help. The first, of course, is custom questions. So for those of you who maybe you have questions that you've used frequently and you are now using Hawks in this online platform and you can't find a similar question to what you're wanting, that's our team. That's what we do. So we can help you create these new questions in Question Builder, again, going through that process I talked about earlier. Some of you, though, might not have questions that you've used that you've created, but maybe you have some questions in the textbook that you are unable to find online. And we are happy to recreate those questions from the textbook into the online platform as well. As you all know, we have a great deal of variety of questions between the online platform and the textbook. And we do that on purpose, of course, to help you give as many options to your students as possible. But sometimes you really like a question in the textbook and you'd like to see it in the online platform. And that, of course, is a great feature request that you can send in through your representative. And then lastly, for custom questions, maybe you have some specific course requirements where you need some additional content, similar to maybe the George Mason University example I gave earlier. They are using Viewing Life Mathematically, but really need some statistics questions and content. In which case, if you're in a situation like that, please send a feature request through your representative, and we can help to provide some questions from our online bank of questions at large to give you what you need. We're happy. We know that not all courses are the same. So if you need something individualized, that's our job. Maybe though, you don't really have questions that you need created, but you really want some custom content in your Learn screens. We can also help with that. And I didn't dive too much into this in the details. Those of you who are familiar Hawks users, you know that you can add your own notes in the Learn screen notes section. But sometimes, obviously, life gets ahead of us, but also maybe you have some bulk editing you'd like done. That is also where our team can help customize that instructional content for your students. And then lastly, of course, again, if you have some specific course requirements, we can add content from a different course to your Learn screens, depending on kind of what it is and the difficulty of it. But sometimes, you know, not one size fits all. So if you are looking for some love, some customization, that's again what our team is here for. So as you're using Hawks, think about ways in which maybe you have some additional questions you'd like created or available to your students in the online platform. Or maybe you have some additional notes you'd like to add into your Learn screens. We can help you with that as well. I hope this gives you a pretty good overview of the Customer Love team and what we can do for you. Danny, at this time, I'd like to help answer any questions if there are any in the Q&A. And again, thank you all for being here, and I hope this was helpful.
Okay, thank you very much, Sarah. Yes, to our audience, please go ahead and enter any questions you have. Sarah, I know one question that we do sometimes get about related to all this is that if instructors can't find something in the textbook and it isn't, or find a question in the textbook that isn't on the online platform, is that something that you all can create for them?
Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. So again, sometimes there are questions that you just as an instructor love to use. And now, of course, with the pandemic and everybody online, you might not have those same resources available in the classroom. So please, yes, find that question in the textbook that you really like, let your representative know, and they will create a feature request that'll come straight to my team and we can get working on it. Great question.
Thank you. Another one here is, if there are some types of questions that aren't in either the online platform or the textbook, is that something that you all can help to create, or do the instructors need to create that on their own?
Great questions. Yeah, some of you, I kind of forgot to mention that, but some of you are used to the question builder tool and you're used to creating your own questions, which is wonderful. And that's of course what it's there for. But if you do have some questions that are creative, that maybe you've just jotted down on paper somewhere and you're used to using, or you've, put it in, LaTeX or something like that, yeah, go ahead and shoot that over to your rep and say, hey, is there any way Hawks could put this, in my question builder folder and make it? That's absolutely what we're here for. We do all of that custom question creation.
Okay, thank you. We have a question. Is there a fee or a cost for this service?
Not at all. No, we are totally included in your Hawks package. Call it the concierge service, of course. But no, there's no cost for this. We are happy to do this for you. We absolutely love creating custom content for you, the instructors. So anything you need, please send it.
And we have another question here from an instructor. I have questions I've created in a previous gradebook. Can you all help me copy them over to my new gradebook? And
great question.
Sharing them with instructors as well.
Great question. Yes. So sometimes you move from a previous edition to a new edition. And again, those of you familiar with the question builder tool, you probably have some questions that you really like and are used to that you created yourself, and you want to transfer them over to your new edition, your new product and gradebook. So we absolutely can do that for you. We can share them with the other instructors at your school also using that same product. So you don't lose them. We will keep them for you and can certainly provide them to you in your next gradebook. Great question.
And I'm just waiting to see if we have anything else filter in. Again, if you do think of a question, you can email us at marketing@hawkslearning.com, and we'll make sure to get you an answer or pass it on to Sarah or another member of the team, and they can get back to you. We also have a shout out for you, Sarah, from Michael Landstrom, who says hello.
Hi, Michael. Worked on Path, I believe, correct?
Yes, that is what he said. So he's here.
Glad you're here.
Just wanted to say hello. So I thought I'd pass that on.
Thank you.
All right. Well, Sarah, thank you again for the presentation. Appreciate you giving everyone an overview of what you do and how your team can help them.
Of course. Thank you.
Audience, again, we recorded this. We'll send you a recording. And I think that's all we got. So thank you very much and hope everyone has a great rest of their day.
Thank you, Danny.
Bye.